So, what have tomatoes got to do with studying and gaining knowledge? I'll tell you in a second. In the 1980s, there was this guy called Francesco Cirillo, and apologies about the pronunciation, but he developed a technique to help people focus and study. It's called the Pomodoro technique. So this is the guy here, Francesco Cirillo, and he seems like a normal enough guy. I mean, I can't believe it was made in the 1980s, because that's kind of a bit recent. But it's one of these things that's been used through academia, and I've not seen a lot of people criticizing it, because it's just a solid, basic technique that gets results. As you can see on the screen here, there's like a little timer he was using, like those old timers that your grandma would use to time how long it would take to cook things. But he'd set it for 25 minutes and then have a 5-minute break. And the whole idea behind it was it would help keep you focused and break down bigger tasks into like smaller, more manageable chunks. It kind of prevents you from getting into a flow state on a longer period of time, but it stops you getting distracted, because distraction is one of the biggest enemies against getting stuff done these days. So every 25 minutes you'd have a 5-minute break. Scientists would report that the way your brain works is that between 20 and 25 minutes is like the best amount of time to hold your focus on something, and then after that you kind of start getting distracted. That's one of the big problems with going to university, because if you've got like a 2-hour lecture and it's a very important topic, it doesn't matter how exciting the presentation is, like the guy presenting it is just going to be boring after the first 25 minutes. It's human nature, you can't fight against it, but you can train your brain to take advantage of it. I want to say it's important because practicing the technique can help you focus on achieving things throughout the day, and it's a great way to do lots of smaller goals to help build up to the larger goals. And it's not just studying that this can help with. If you're trying to learn something new, or even if you're just trying to improve your skills, or if you've got a business, for example, and you need things done by a specific deadline, breaking them down into smaller chunks is definitely going to help make them more digestible. Now, as you can see on the Wikipedia, there's kind of 1 or 2 more steps towards it, but I think because it was made in the 1980s, we need to focus on the fact that it's 2020s these days, so people are going to get distracted in a different way. In the past, if you were distracted, you would just twiddle your pencil, or like look at another page, or look around the library, and then after 1 or 2 minutes your brain would reset and you'd focus on it again. But these days you're going to have mobile phones, you're going to have iPads, you're going to have social media, 101 different distractions. So I think a pretense for the Pomodoro technique is switch off your mobile phone, or at least put it in airplane mode, because it doesn't matter how strong your willpower is, you're going to be thinking about social media. I mean, you can't fight against Google psychologists that have been paid tens of thousands of even millions of dollars to try and make it addictive. So you might as well cut it off at the root. Now, with the Pomodoro technique, a lot of the focus is doing 4 modules of 25 minutes, and that's probably the best way to get as much out of it as possible. If you start doing more, then you kind of get diminishing returns and value. But if you only do like half an hour, yeah, it's beneficial, but you're not really getting into the rhythm or the state of it. You could argue that doing a half hour every day is better than cramming 3 hours in on a Sunday, just because the regularity is going to keep things fresh in your brain. And if you're learning languages, for example, it's definitely better to have more repetition more frequently, even if it's smaller times. But ideally, you want to be doing as much as you can to try and benefit yourself, because it's about improving your own goals and getting yourself moving forward, gaining momentum. And it's quite easy to just slip on a TV show, slip on Netflix, and then boom, that's 50 minutes gone. You don't know where it's gone. You can barely remember the TV show. Did you enjoy it? Maybe, maybe not, who knows? But if you're managing to sit down and focus on study, it's more difficult, but it's definitely more rewarding. So, oh, by the way, the Pomodoro technique, not sponsored or anything, but I found it in one of these books, and it's been quite helpful. Might be worth checking out and reading yourself. A lot of people ask, why should you continue studying even if you're not at school or university? And you can check out the next video I've got linked somewhere here, and it'll tell you about it.